The Watch That Goes Backward. Chapter 1. The First Day. It was Monday morning. Daniel started a new job. The weekend was short and he was a little tired. He walked into the modern office. People smiled at him. They were cheerful. Daniel was nervous. His desk was near a big window. He put his bag beside the chair. He sat down. The computer was new, but the desk was old. He opened the top drawer. Inside, he saw some paper clips, an old card, and a watch. The watch was dusty. It was not a modern watch. It had a round face and a small handle on the side. Daniel wanted to wipe the dust away, but he stopped. "This is not mine," he thought. "It belonged to another person." A man at the next desk came and spoke quietly. "That watch," he said. "It was from the man who worked here before you." He looked around. "People say he disappeared many years ago. Nobody knows why." Daniel gasped. He closed the drawer. He did not like to touch things from other people, especially with a strange story. But from time to time he looked at the drawer. He thought about the watch again and again. Chapter 2. The Strange Watch. The week passed slowly. On Saturday and Sunday, Daniel tried to relax, but he still thought about the watch from time to time. On Monday morning, he sat at his desk again. Sunlight came from the big window on the side. Daniel opened the drawer. The watch was still there. It was dusty. He wanted to wipe it with a cloth, but his hand stopped. He felt strange, as if the watch was watching him. He looked at the small handle. He could hear a tiny tick. That surprised him. How can it tick? It must be very old, he thought. At lunch, Daniel went outside. He ate a sandwich and read a newspaper. The air was fresh, but his thoughts were still about the watch. When he returned, he worked on his computer. But sometimes his eyes moved to the drawer. Later that day, the man at the next desk spoke again. "You know," he said quietly, "the last worker was here one Friday. Then, after the weekend, he was gone. People say he went upstairs to the attic before he disappeared. But the attic is locked now." Daniel gasped. He had never been upstairs. The word attic made him feel curious and a bit scared. He sat up straight and tried to keep working, but his heart was beating fast. Chapter 3. The Locked Attic. That night, Daniel could not sleep well. He kept thinking about the attic and the old worker who had disappeared. In his mind, he saw the dusty watch and heard the quiet tick again and again. On Tuesday morning, he arrived early at work. The office was almost empty. Daniel opened his drawer and looked at the watch. He turned the small handle just a little. The ticking grew louder. For a second, the hands seemed to move backward, but then they stopped. He heard footsteps in the hall. Quickly, Daniel closed the drawer. It was only the cleaner pushing a cart. She smiled at him. "Good morning," she said. After lunch, Daniel decided to look for the attic door. He walked to the end of the long corridor. There, behind a tall cabinet, he saw a small wooden door. It had a heavy lock. He touched the lock. It was cold. On the floor near the door, he saw something shiny. He bent down and picked it up. It was a small silver key. His hands trembled. He looked around. No one was there. Daniel put the key in his pocket. The ticking sound from his drawer came into his mind again. That evening, Daniel left the office feeling more curious than ever. Chapter 4. The Watch Works. On Wednesday morning, Daniel came to work even earlier. The office was dark and quiet. He went to his desk and opened the drawer. The watch was waiting for him. He took it in his hand. The dust covered his fingers, so he wiped it with a thin cloth. The round face of the watch shone in the soft light. The small handle was cold. Daniel remembered the key in his pocket. He felt it tightly. "Maybe today," he whispered. He turned the handle slowly. Tick, tick, tick. The sound grew faster. Then it began to tick backward. Daniel gasped. The room around him started to fade. The sunlight from the window changed to moonlight. Shadows moved across the floor. His heart raced. The computer disappeared. The modern furniture was gone. Instead, he saw old wooden desks and papers on the floor. A piano was in the corner. Daniel stood up. He looked out of the window. Outside, there were no cars, only horses and carts passing by. He touched the watch again. It felt alive in his hand. Somehow, it had taken him to another time. From the corridor came the sound of footsteps. Daniel tiptoed toward the door. He felt both fear and excitement. His adventure had just begun. Chapter 5. Lessons from the Past. Daniel looked around in shock. The busy office building was gone. In its place stood a small wooden house with a garden. A horse stood quietly near the fence. A man in old-fashioned clothes came out of the house. His eyes were kind but sharp. "I see you found my watch," the man said. Daniel held up the strange watch. "You made this?" "Yes," the man nodded. "I made it so people would remember that time is not only minutes and hours. The past, present, and future are connected. If you change one, you change them all." Daniel frowned. "Why would you want people to think about that?" "Because," the man said softly, "people rush through life. They forget that what they do today comes from yesterday and shapes tomorrow. I wanted them to slow down, to see life as one long story, not just small moments." The man placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "Remember, your choices matter. They echo through time." Daniel looked at the watch again, feeling its weight differently now. Chapter 6. Back where he belongs. Daniel felt the world spin again. The street of horses and quiet houses faded, replaced by the noise of traffic and the glass walls of the office. His desk was in front of him, papers exactly where he had left them. For a moment, he just sat, looking at the magic watch. It didn't tick anymore. The hands were frozen at the time he had met the watchmaker. He thought about the man's words. The past, present, and future are threads of the same cloth. Treat one badly, and the others will tear. From that day, Daniel worked and lived differently. He greeted people with more warmth. He thought before making choices. He looked for ways to keep the good from the past alive in the present, so the future could be brighter. The watch stayed on his desk, quiet and still. But Daniel knew it had done its job. It had taught him how to use his time.